Hey guys, it's appleminte. Welcome back again to my channel. So in today's video, as the title says, we are going to be unboxing July's Scrawlrbox. I skipped June's Scrawlrbox just because I didn't have any time to do a video for that one with Otakon and everything. So I'm really excited to open this one up and see what's inside. I have not looked at anybody else's artwork yet for this month, and I have not seen what's in the box yet. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. So the first thing, I'm feeling a few paint tubes in here, so I think there's another one. Okay, this is a very patriotic box so far. I guess that might have to do with the fact that 4th of July just passed this month, but I'm not sure. I don't know why that won't focus, but it says infinite freedom right there, so I guess this is a very patriotic box. So we have 3 tubes of water, oil, okay, all right, so these are oil paints. I haven't used oil paints since I was like a kid and didn't know how to properly use them. I've not used oil paints, and I know that these definitely have like a method. Honestly, definitely a challenge. And then we just have another pencil. There's always a pencil every box. I don't have to go into this. This is a 2B pencil. Next we have a brush. Oh, this is like a special Scrawlrbox edition brush. That's so cute. It's a Scrawlrbox right here, and size 10. So I guess this is good for oils, but I'm gonna read the card to actually see if that's what it's intended for. I'm assuming it is because they've included it in the box. What is this? It's like a really thick, fancy card. It says, use this card to mix your paints or use it to apply them directly to the canvas. You can even chop it into different shapes and sizes to create more than one tool. So it seems that they want us to cut this little card up and then use it to scrape the paint around. I will try to figure out how to use this. Oh, look at the tiny little canvas. So we have a tiny little canvas here. Definitely going to be using this for today's artwork. And then all of the information you can pause to read. I hope that's legible. It seems that this brush is a universal brush, so it can be used for oils as well as other things. I've never really seen anything like this before. I mean, I've seen palette knives and like different tools. So anyway, those are all of the things that came in this box. I'd like to swatch these paints. So for testing purposes, I actually went and found in my art room some little mini canvases that I already had. These are a little bit different than the one we were actually given. I'm not an expert on like different kinds of canvases and stuff, but I think we can use this for just testing out some of the paints and stuff and the different strokes, because I have a few of these, so I don't mind kind of practicing on one of them. So I took a second to look into some tips about oil paints. I definitely think that oil paints is a tricky thing to have in a subscription box. That's just an opinion of mine. I just think that this material specifically is something that has a lot to get to know about it. Some of the chemicals and fumes in these can be toxic, so you need a well-ventilated area. Oil paints take many days to dry sometimes. So there's like a lot of different things to know, but it seems that these are the 3 colors that we're working with here. Red, white, and blue, very patriotic. So I guess I'll start with this corner right here. They kind of made some little like perforations, well, not perforations, but little dotted lines based on where it might be best to cut. I'll cut this side off first because it seems like that would be a decent edge. So I'm gonna try to practice it on this little palette right here. I don't know, I don't think I'm supposed to add water, but like I said, I thought I was supposed to add some kind of like solution to it, solvent. People who like paint consistently with oil paints are probably like sitting there judging me. I think it's great that they're branching out and they try different mediums, and I definitely think that oil paints in here are great for certain artists, but I don't know, like they didn't include any kind of solvent. I don't even know if they could have been able to include that, like with shipping and everything. I don't know if you can ship that kind of thing in a little box like this, but I don't know if a lot of artists would be able to get the most out of these without all the rest of the materials. But I guess the point of a subscription box is just to try a few new things. So anyway, I was able to get some of this paint off with just water, but I don't think this brush is gonna be 100% clean until I do use some kind of paint thinner. Do you add something to oil paints? I spelled that wrong. Okay, so these are, okay, all right, I get it now. These are water mixable. So they're saying that I can use water. I can mix the color with water to thin out the paint. That's good to know. I don't know if that's specific to these or if that's just a thing with oil paints, but at least these, they do say that they're soluble with water, so I can mix it in to thin it out. Let me test out using this card. So I'm gonna take a little bit of paint on here. Again, oil painting artists, please don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me, please. I don't know what I'm doing, clearly, but you know, I'm trying it out. I'm gonna use this kind of like a palette knife. I think this is how you do it. If this isn't how you do it, I'm gonna have to look it up. This doesn't feel right. I think I did something wrong. This whole video should be called Watch Apple Struggle with Oil Paints. All right, I completely missed this, guys. This is palette paper right here. This is meant to be used with the palette knife card and, or palette card, whatever they call it. All right, let's start over. So this is the palette paper that they've included, and this is meant to be used to mix my paints on. So I'm doing very wrong using this right here. And we're gonna practice by mixing directly on here. We're gonna use the little palette card, and we're gonna try mixing some paint, because this is just really, I'm so bad at this. So let's take our little card. I just wiped it off, and let's take some red, and I'm gonna take some of this right here as well. Am I doing it right, guys? Here, I'm gonna zoom in for you. Why would I, okay, but I'm confused. Why would I need to do this like this when I could just take a brush and do it? I guess I could use a brush. Maybe I'll take some white. Let's mix all of them. Let's see what color we get. I'm thinking a light purple. Ooh, that's really pretty though. The nice thing is though, it is spreading around and it's not drying down, so I can just keep going until it's like completely mixed. That's pretty. Look at that color I made. I'm gonna test this color out on the edge of this. Ooh, it's pretty. It does say that I can use this palette card on the actual canvas when I'm painting. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, I made a whole new color. That's awesome. And I'm sure if I add white and things like that, it'll get even better. So listen, I know this was a journey and everything was a disaster for a while, but you know what? It's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine and we're gonna figure it out. And I'm gonna sketch something out on some paper and we'll go through that. And then we're gonna try to do a little mini artwork here. So let's see what we can make. Okay, so listen. I didn't know what to draw, but you know what? I asked someone and I was like, what should I draw? Any ideas on a little animal? Something simple for a small painting. They said beaver, so look, we're gonna draw a beaver, guys. I'm kind of inspired by the way that the artist who made this piece did this, so maybe I can incorporate some kind of paint strokes like that. Okay, so look at this. We got a beaver going on. So I'm thinking with a small piece of artwork, I think it would have been pretty, especially my first time using oils, pretty impossible to do any kind of like detailed person or anything. And also I do know that oil paints are better for like strokes and things like that. So I think getting like small, fine, hard lines and details wouldn't really do the paint justice, because this medium is meant more for like, you know, these kinds of strokes and things and mixing and blending the paint. Like that's more what this is for, especially because this kind of paint is meant to be blended and mixed. So I don't want to do anything with too much harsh lines. So even this beaver, I don't want him to look too harsh within the painting. I'm probably going to try to mix him and blend him in. You know what? I'm going to move the tail because I think his tail should be on the other side. So I do want to try some of these kinds of strokes in the background, kind of for foliage. And I know that like foliage is green and I have blue and pink, but I don't think I have to adhere necessarily to the colors these things actually are. I think it's just about getting the shapes and the things that I want to express on my canvas. Comment down below if you've used oil paints or if you're an oil paint artist. I definitely applaud you. This is something that is a skill that just probably takes a lot of time to learn. And I mean, like most things, but so I'm gonna leave this back part blank, but this is basically what I want. Oh my God, it's so cute. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and sketch it onto the actual canvas itself. So I started by sketching it out real quick, just replicating what I had sketched in my sketchbook. And I'm gonna preface this right now and say that this came out horrible, okay? Came out nothing like I wanted it to look, and I attribute that to my skill level. I don't attribute it to the art supplies at all. And so I am fully aware that I am very new to oils and I'm very inexperienced with paint in general. I guess acrylic and oil paints in general. I don't use them as often and I'm way more comfortable with other mediums. So I think on my part, that just means I need a lot more practice with it. But this in general, using this Scrawlrbox was definitely a good introduction into this type of medium. And
honestly, like I had said, the last time I had used any kind of oil paint was when I was a kid, and I was just kind of messing around with it, so I never really used oil paints. I don't really count that experience. The only part I like about this is pretty much that area behind the beaver at the top there, where I wanted to just mix all the colors and blot them down with the brush, and I like the way that looks, but the rest of this... Okay, so I know I probably should have used a different brush for the details on the beaver. Like I mentioned before, I don't know much about this, so I wasn't sure. I know there's different kinds of brushes. I know for a fact none of the brushes I have are made for oil paint, but I don't know if that's just a thing that's like a texture difference. I probably could have used one of the other brushes looking back that I have that's for acrylics and just made it work for this, but I didn't. So my idea was that I would go in and just paint the shape of the beaver and then go back in after and paint with the darker purple and then go over it and just kind of paint the details. Well, I quickly realized that this brush was way too big for that. So I ended up taking my little card and thinking I could probably scrape in some of the details with it, and it kind of worked, but it really didn't. So you know what, at this point I was like, all right, I think I'm just gonna have to cut my losses and make this look as good as it can with what it is. And I messed up his head, so I was like, you know what, we're gonna make him have a blue scarf. I don't know what happened here. This is like the worst. And like, you guys have seen my other artwork. I think I'm decent, but this is not at all an example of my skill. I am ashamed of this artwork. I highly questioned posting this video as well. But you know what? I posted it anyway because I'm like, I wanted a video talking about my experience with oil paints. So please excuse the terrible artwork. I'm so sorry this is assaulting your eyes, but it looks nothing like my original beaver and I'm sad. But yeah, you know, if you can relate to me, comment down below, make me feel a little bit better. I definitely need to practice more with oil paints, and has nothing to do with Scrawlrbox. But overall, I really did like the materials in this box. I just wish that they had a little bit more, like maybe some kind of solvent or something in here that could have assisted along with the oil paints, you know? So that's just my 2 cents.
I really suck at oil painting, like, oh no, oh god. All right, so obviously this looks like 0, like my sketch of the cute beaver. I'm just going to leave this and not come back to it ever. But I mean, overall, it was fun using oil paints, but I think I definitely need a ton more practice with them.
Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope maybe my struggles were relatable in some way. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning, and you know, that's kind of why I posted this video in the end, was to just express that and show you guys that kind of side. So it's not always perfect, but it happens, and learning is a continuous process. So anyway, all of my links are in the description box below. I have the link to my online shop where you can find my prints, charms, pins, everything that I make, but right now it is currently closed until August 23rd. I also have my link to my Instagram page where you can follow me to see artwork that I don't always post here on my channel and things I'm doing, updates like that. Go follow me there if you're interested. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this week's video, and I'll see you next week at Friday at 4 p.m. Have a beautiful day. Bye bye!